Welcome back to the channel Coins Quarter Dollar, where hidden history meets real value. And today you are about to travel deep into the story of the 1999 Georgia State Quarter, a coin that launched a revolution in American coin collecting and quietly became one of the most important modern coins ever struck. Imagine holding a small piece of metal that carries the pride, struggle, culture, and future of an entire state, because this quarter is not just spare change. It is a symbol of a turning point in United States history, and in this video, we uncover why the Georgia Quarter was released, why its design shocked collectors, why millions of people started collecting coins again because of it, and how certain examples can still surprise you with their value today. The year is 1999. The United States Mint is preparing something never done before, a program designed to reconnect everyday Americans with their money. The 50-state quarters program begins, and Georgia becomes one of the first states honored. Released on January 4th, 1999, this coin instantly entered pockets, wallets, and cash registers across the nation. But behind its simple appearance lies a carefully crafted message. The reverse design shows the outline of the state of Georgia, a ripe peach, and branches of live oak surrounded by the words, "Wisdom, Justice, Moderation." These are not random images, they represent the official state motto and core values that date back to the founding principles of Georgia itself. The peach symbolizes Georgia as the peach state, representing agriculture, growth, and abundance, while the live oak branches stand for strength, endurance, and deep roots in American soil. The obverse features George Washington redesigned by William Cousins, maintaining a connection to the nation's past, while the reverse pushes boldly into a new era. This coin was struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints for circulation, and also at the San Francisco Mint for proof versions. And for the first time in decades, Americans were checking their change with excitement. Families saved rolls, kids learned geography, and coin shops saw a new generation walk through their doors. The Georgia Quarter played a key role in that explosion of interest because it represented the Old South, the civil rights legacy, and a modern growing state all in one compact design. Collectors often overlook circulated examples, but condition matters. Uncirculated coins with sharp details, strong luster, and clean surfaces can carry premiums, while proof versions with deep mirrored fields are especially desirable. Error coins like off-center strikes, double dies, or clipped planchets can be worth far more than face value and still occasionally appear in collections pulled from circulation. Today, the historical importance of this quarter goes beyond money. It marked the moment when coin collecting returned to mainstream culture. It reminded Americans that coins tell stories, and Georgia was one of the first voices in that story. As you look at this quarter, you are seeing a bridge between past and present, a state proud of its heritage, and a nation rediscovering its coins. So before you spend another quarter, stop and look closely, because the 1999 Georgia Quarter might not just be change, it might be history in your hand. As the story of the 1999 Georgia Quarter continues, we move deeper into the era that shaped its creation and the powerful reasons this coin still matters today. At the end of the 20th century, America was changing rapidly. Technology was rising, communities were expanding, and traditions were being re-examined. The United States Mint recognized that younger generations had lost interest in coins and needed a reason to look. Again, Georgia, as one of the original colonies, was chosen early in the program to represent history, resilience, and balance. The motto, "Wisdom, Justice, Moderation," printed proudly around the design, reflects ideals written into the Georgia state seal. And these words were meant to remind every person who held the coin that money can carry values. Not just value. The artist carefully balanced every element, the peach centered to show pride, the oak branches reaching outward to symbolize protection and unity, and the state outline grounding the design in identity. When these quarters entered circulation, banks reported shortages as people requested rolls to save schools, used them as teaching tools, and coin albums became household items. Again, the production numbers were massive, with hundreds of millions struck. Yet rarity was never the main purpose. Influence was, and that influence changed the hobby forever. Collectors today study strike quality, differences between Philadelphia and Denver mint issues, noticing how luster tone and surface marks vary based on mint conditions, storage, and circulation patterns. Proof coins, struck in San Francisco, were produced with special dies, polished planchets, and careful handling, creating mirror-like fields and frosted details that remain highly collectible when preserved properly. Error specialists search Georgia quarters for mint mistakes, including rotated dies, broad strikes missing, clad layers, and doubled inscriptions, which can dramatically increase value and historical interest. The Georgia quarter also reflects a deeper cultural moment. It arrived during a time when states were redefining their identity in a modern America. Georgia, with its complex history from colonial beginnings to civil rights, leadership to economic growth, was perfectly captured in this simple design. This coin traveled through every layer of society, from grocery stores to gas stations. From classrooms to collectors' safes, each scratch and mark tells a journey story, a reminder that coins live real lives beyond mint sets as years pass. High-grade examples become harder to find because circulation slowly removes the best specimens, making well-preserved coins more desirable over time. Grading services evaluate these coins based on strike-eye appeal and surface preservation, and top-graded examples can command strong premiums, especially when paired with beautiful toning or flawless proof surfaces. This is why understanding the history behind the 1999 Georgia quarter matters, because knowledge transforms ordinary change into a meaningful artifact. The more you learn, the more valuable the coin becomes, not just in dollars, but in appreciation and respect. The Georgia quarter stands as a foundation stone of the state quarters program, a program that lasted 10 years, reshaped modern numismatics, and introduced millions to the idea that coins are stories pressed into metal. And as long as people continue to search their change and learn their history, the legacy of the 1999 Georgia quarter will continue to grow quietly, powerfully, and endlessly in the hands of those who know what they are holding. Imagine holding a coin so simple yet so iconic that its silent silver shine tells the proud story of the American heartland, a coin that carries the breeze of endless prairies, the strength of the buffalo, and the spirit of freedom that shaped the Midwest. Today we dive deep into one of the most celebrated pieces of the United States 50 State Quarters program, the 2005 Kansas quarter. A coin that looks ordinary at first glance, but unfolds into a rich narrative of American heritage, artistry, minting, evolution, and hidden collector mysteries. This is not just a quarter. This is a tribute to a land where pioneers dreamed, farmers struggled, buffalo roamed, and the American identity took shape. And today you are about to discover every layer of its creation, from the first sketches to the final strike, from the historic Kansas symbols chosen for the design to the deep reasoning behind the inscriptions, from the minting process that shaped millions of pieces to the rare errors that turned some of those pieces into treasures worth far more than 25 cents. In this full in-depth journey, you will learn the complete history of the 2005 Kansas quarter, so detailed that you could turn it into a 2-hour documentary. Because the story of this coin is not just metal, it is culture, it is history, it is struggle, and it is pride. So sit back and let the story unfold. The history of the 2005 Kansas quarter begins with the groundbreaking 50 State Quarters program launched by the United States Mint in 1999. A program designed to honor every state with a unique quarter released in the order they joined the Union. Kansas, being admitted to the United States on January 29, 1861, earned its place in the release year of 2005. The mission of the program was not only to encourage collectors, but also to educate Americans about the heritage symbols and identity of each state. The Kansas design would become one of the most recognizable of the entire series. The state of Kansas chose imagery that perfectly represented its identity: the mighty American bison standing strong and grounded, and the graceful sunflower symbol of warmth, beauty, and growth. The bison was not just any creature, but an icon deeply tied to the Great Plains, representing resilience, power, and the untamed spirit of the West, once roaming by the millions across Kansas prairies. The bison is an animal that survived near extinction and rebounded through conservation efforts, making it a perfect symbol of endurance. The sunflower, the state flower of Kansas, represents loyalty, optimism, and the natural beauty of Kansas. Landscapes, its bright petals echo the golden fields of wheat and open prairies that stretch across the state. The design combined strength and beauty in one powerful image. The inscription, "Free State," added a timeless historical message, reminding Americans of the anti-slavery stance Kansas proudly took before the Civil War. The journey from design to production was long, and detailed artists proposed multiple sketches, each highlighting different parts of Kansas' identity, but the combination of the bison and the sunflower quickly stood out as the most powerful representation. Once the final design was selected, the United States Mint engraved it with precision, transforming artwork into metal dies that would press the imagery onto millions of circulating coins. The Kansas quarter was minted at both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint, with each location producing millions of pieces. But despite the high production numbers, the Kansas quarter became famous not only for its design, but also for rare and fascinating minting errors that collectors chase to this day. One of the most legendary errors associated with the Kansas 2005 quarter is the famous "In God We Rust" error, caused by grease or debris partially blocking the die, making the letter T in trust disappear, resulting in the phrase reading, "In God we rust" or "In God we rust." Depending on the strike, collectors quickly noticed this strange and eye-catching misprint, and its rarity made it highly desirable. Some pieces with this error have sold at impressive values. The error occurred frequently enough to become well-known, yet rarely enough to remain collectible and valuable. The Kansas quarter also saw other lesser-known errors, such as off-center strikes, die clashes, and weak strikes, adding depth to its place in numismatic history. Beyond errors, the coin itself is a standard-clad composition of copper and nickel designed for durability and everyday use. Yet its meaning goes far beyond its metal. Content, every detail of the Kansas quarter reflects American pride, the natural heritage of the Midwest, and the deep cultural symbolism rooted in Kansas history. The coin became an educational tool for millions of Americans, introducing school children, families, and new collectors to the world of numismatics, as the 50 State Quarters program turned everyday change into small pieces of American storytelling. When the 2005 Kansas quarter entered circulation, its artwork immediately captured attention. The strong figure of the bison standing proudly with the sunflower beside it created a natural balance between power and peace. The coin became popular among collectors, casual hobbyists, and even people who normally paid little attention to everyday currency. Decades later, the Kansas quarter remains one of the most recognized designs of the series, its simple yet bold artwork giving it a timeless appeal. As the years passed, collectors continued studying the Kansas quarter, learning more about die varieties, mint differences, and long-term value trends. Coins in mint state condition, especially those graded MS-66 or higher, became sought after, while error versions gained even more attention. The Kansas quarter proved that even modern coins could achieve strong collector interest when history, design, and rarity come together in harmony. The Kansas quarter remains not just a piece of currency, but a symbol of the American Midwest, a tribute to a state whose history includes the struggle for freedom, the preservation of wildlife, the cultivation of land, and the spirit of hope. The coin tells us about the land of sunflowers, the strength of the plains, and the people who shaped Kansas culture. It stands as a reminder that every coin has a story, and some stories are powerful, enough to fill hours with meaning. This is why the 2005 Kansas quarter continues to fascinate both new collectors and experienced experts alike, turning a simple 25-cent piece into a window of history, heritage, and pride. Imagine holding in your hand a quarter that is far more than just 25 cents of American currency, a coin that tells a story of vast deserts, towering mountains, and wild horses running free across open plains. A coin that embodies not only the natural beauty of a state, but also the rugged independence and history that has shaped the American West. This is the Nevada State Quarter, released in 2006 as part of the groundbreaking United States Mint 50 State Quarters program, a program that between 1999 and 2008 transformed the way Americans looked at their pocket change, turning ordinary coins into miniature canvases of national heritage, culture, and pride. The Nevada Quarter instantly stands out with its striking design, featuring 3 wild Mustangs galloping across the scene, set against the backdrop of snow-capped mountains and sagebrush. With the rising sun casting light over the landscape, the inscription reads, "The Silver State," a proud reminder of Nevada's deep connection to silver mining, a connection that not only earned the state its nickname, but also played a pivotal role in shaping the economy, politics, and identity of the American West. The design by sculptor and engraver Don Everhart was selected from multiple proposals, capturing the spirit of Nevada more vividly than any other image could. To fully appreciate the Nevada Quarter, we must go back to the roots of the 50 State Quarters program, announced by the U.S. Mint in 1997 and officially launched in 1999. This initiative was one of the most successful coin programs in American history each year. 5 states were honored in the order in which they joined the Union, with Nevada chosen for release in 2006 because it had become the 36th state. On October 31, 1864, at the height of the Civil War, Nevada's admission into the Union was strategic and significant. It was admitted as a free state, providing critical support to President Abraham Lincoln and the Union cause and its abundant silver. Resources helped fund the war effort. When the Mint set out to design Nevada's quarter, the process involved a collaboration between state officials. Artists, historians, and the public Nevadans were encouraged to submit ideas for symbols and themes that best represented their state. Ultimately, the themes of wild horses, rugged landscapes, and silver heritage emerged as the most powerful reflections of Nevada's identity and were crystallized into the final design the wild Mustangs symbolize: freedom, strength, and the untamed spirit of the American frontier, while the mountains in the background highlight Nevada's diverse terrain, ranging from arid deserts to high alpine peaks. The sagebrush adds authenticity as the official state flower, while the rising sun underscores hope, renewal, and growth. The inscription, "The Silver State," ties the imagery together. Silver mining is inseparable from Nevada's history and its future. The discovery of the Comstock lode in 1859 near Virginia City changed everything in Nevada and the entire country. This massive silver deposit was the first major discovery of silver ore in the United States, sparking a rush of miners, entrepreneurs, and fortune seekers. The wealth generated fueled not only Nevada's growth, but also America's industrial development and the Civil War effort. The Comstock lode gave Nevada its identity and cemented its place in American history, making the words, "The Silver State," a fitting tribute. When the quarter was released on January 31, 2006, it was met with enthusiasm from collectors and the general public alike. The coin was minted at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with hundreds of millions produced to meet demand. Yet despite its large mintage, the Nevada Quarter has become one of the more admired designs in the series because of its dynamic imagery and symbolism. Beyond circulation, coins, the Mint also struck proof and silver-proof versions at the San Francisco Mint. These collectible pieces, struck with polished dies and specially prepared planchets, showcased the design with sharp detail and mirror-like fields, adding prestige to the series. The Nevada Quarter is not just a coin, it is a symbol of the state's culture, environment, and history. The wild Mustangs themselves carry deep meaning. These animals, descended from horses brought by Spanish explorers, centuries earlier, became an inseparable part of the western frontier. By the 19th century, they roamed freely across the Great Basin, and symbolized the spirit of independence. However, they also became a subject of controversy as ranchers and settlers clashed with conservationists over their population and impact. The image of Mustangs galloping freely on the Nevada Quarter is thus both an artistic choice and a cultural statement about preserving the freedom and natural heritage of the American West. In addition, the Nevada Quarter design underscores the contrast between harsh environments and the persistence of life. Nevada is the driest state in the Union, yet its landscapes are full of natural wonder, from the vast Mojave Desert to the peaks of the Sierra Nevada and the Ruby Mountains. The coin's background of snow-capped mountains against desert flora captures this dramatic diversity perfectly. Collectors often view the Nevada Quarter through several lenses. Numismatically, it is part of one of the most collected modern series in U.S. history. Historically, it is a reminder of Nevada's unique role in the Civil War and in American mining. Culturally, it speaks to the mythos of the Wild West. Artistically, it is one of the most action-filled state quarters, with its dynamic depiction of movement through the galloping horses. The release of the Nevada Quarter also had an economic impact, like the rest of the 50 state quarters program. It reignited interest in coin collecting across the United States, generating billions in revenue for the mint through seigniorage and collector sales. The program brought new generations into numismatics, creating a surge in demand for folders, albums, and educational materials. Schools used the coins as teaching tools to discuss history, geography, and economics, and the Nevada Quarter played its part in this cultural wave. When analyzing this quarter for its long-term legacy, it is clear that its design resonates with both Nevadans and Americans nationwide. The Silver State is more than a nickname. It is a reminder of resilience, resourcefulness, and the ability to thrive in even the harshest conditions, just as Nevada's people and environment have done for centuries. In the same way, the Mustangs that gallop across the coin continue to gallop across the imagination of all who see them. Thus, the Nevada Quarter is not just another entry in the 50 state quarters program, but a lasting piece of American heritage, a small piece of metal that carries within it the story of the American West, the struggle for survival, the bounty of silver that helped shape a nation, and the spirit of freedom embodied in wild horses. This single coin, like so many in the program, proves that history, art, and culture can live in the palm of your hand, and with every Nevada Quarter in circulation, that story continues to move forward. Imagine holding a small piece of history in your hand, a coin so ordinary in size, yet extraordinary in meaning. The Missouri State Quarter, released in 2003, is not just a circulating piece of currency, it is a carefully crafted tribute to the spirit of exploration, the courage of discovery, and the cultural heritage of a nation that expanded westward through determination and vision. This coin is more than just metal. It is a time capsule that takes us back to the early 19th century, to the very moment when the United States was growing rapidly, and when the Louisiana Purchase and the legendary Lewis and Clark expedition opened the doors to the American West, and Missouri became the key gateway to that new frontier. The Missouri Quarter was the 24th coin in the United States Mint 50 State Quarters program, a monumental initiative that began in 1999 and ran through 2008. This program was designed to honor each of the 50 states with a unique reverse design representing its history, culture, and identity. Missouri, which joined the Union in 1821 as the 24th state, had its turn in 2003, and its design immediately stood out among collectors, historians, and the general public because of the powerful imagery it carried. The central theme chosen for Missouri was the Lewis and Clark expedition, which had passed through Missouri on its legendary journey to explore the Western territories after the Louisiana Purchase. The design of the Missouri State Quarter captures the significance of that expedition in a striking way. The reverse side features the explorers Meriwether Lewis and William Clark in a boat navigating the Missouri River, with the famed Gateway Arch rising majestically in the background. Symbolizing both the historic expedition and Missouri's role as the gateway to the West, the boat is depicted carrying Lewis and Clark as they point forward, representing their mission of discovery and expansion. The inclusion of the Gateway Arch was deliberate, as it is one of the most recognizable symbols of Missouri built in the 20th century to honor the role of St. Louis as the starting point for Western expansion, the blending of 19th century exploration with 20th century architecture creates a powerful narrative of Missouri's role in American history. The process of designing the Missouri State Quarter was itself a journey. The United States Mint invited state officials, artists, historians, and citizens to submit ideas that best represented Missouri. The competition drew several concepts ranging from agricultural themes to landmarks, but the Lewis and Clark expedition stood out because of its direct connection to Missouri's geography and its symbolic value of exploration, discovery, and courage. After much debate, the final design was selected and sculpted by Alfred Miletsky of the United States Mint and approved by the Secretary of the Treasury. The design not only honored Missouri's past, but also linked it with a national story of westward expansion. To understand why Missouri was chosen to highlight the Lewis and Clark expedition, we must step back in time to the early 1800s, following the Louisiana Purchase. In 1803, President Thomas Jefferson commissioned Meriwether Lewis and William Clark to lead an expedition that would map and explore the vast new territory. The journey began near St. Louis, Missouri, a place that would become the gateway to the West for generations of settlers. Missouri's strategic location on the Mississippi and Missouri rivers made it the perfect launching point for such exploration, and it was from here that Lewis and Clark began their voyage across the continent, charting new lands, documenting flora and fauna, and building relationships with Native American tribes. Their work would forever transform America's understanding of its own land and resources. The Missouri Quarter not only celebrates this historical moment, but also represents the unique culture and geography of the state. Missouri is known for its rivers, its role as a crossroads between East and West, and its agricultural and industrial contributions, all of which tie into the theme of exploration and progress. The coin embodies the spirit of a state that has been both a literal and symbolic passageway for the nation. Whether through river travel, pioneer trails, railroads, or highways, Missouri has always been a place where journeys begin. Collectors were drawn to the Missouri Quarter not only for its historic design, but also because of its place in the timeline of the 50 State Quarters program. As the 24th coin, it marked the halfway point of the series, making it a symbolic milestone for the program itself. Millions of these coins were minted in Philadelphia and Denver, with additional proof and silver versions produced in San Francisco. For collectors, the Missouri Quarter became one of the more memorable issues due to its dramatic design and its balance of historic and modern symbols. To appreciate the depth of the Missouri Quarter's history, one must also explore the stories of the Gateway Arch and the Lewis and Clark expedition separately. The Gateway Arch, completed in 1965, stands 630 feet tall and was designed by architect Eero Saarinen as part of the Jefferson National Expansion Memorial. It is a monument that commemorates the United States expansion westward and the role Missouri played as the jumping-off point for settlers. Its appearance on the quarter connects Missouri's modern identity to its historical role. The Lewis and Clark expedition, on the other hand, was a defining event in early America, with Missouri as its starting point. The inclusion of the explorers in their boat on the quarter makes the coin almost like a frozen moment in time, capturing the anticipation, the danger, and the optimism of their journey. Over the course of a 2-hour deep exploration into the Missouri Quarter, we can trace not only the story of this single coin, but also how it fits into the broader context of American history, numismatics, and culture. We can dive into the origins of the 50 State Quarters program and its massive popularity, which brought millions of Americans into coin collecting. For the first time, we can examine the details of the Missouri Quarter's design process and compare it to other state quarters to see how themes of history, nature, and culture were expressed. We can analyze the Lewis and Clark expedition and the Gateway Arch in detail, exploring their historical and cultural impact and how Missouri came to embody the role of gateway to the West. And we can even look into the minting process, production numbers, and varieties of the Missouri Quarter to understand its significance for collectors. The Missouri State Quarter is not just metal, it is art, history, and memory fused into one small circular form. It tells the story of a young nation setting out to explore new frontiers of a state that stood at the crossroads of East and West, of a people who celebrated their identity through both tradition and modern symbolism, and of a program that changed the way Americans looked at their coins forever. Holding a Missouri quarter is like holding a bridge between past and present, and like all great coins, it leaves behind a story that is larger than itself, and one that will endure in the hands of collectors, historians, and dreamers for generations to come. Imagine holding in your hand a small silver-colored coin that at first glance seems ordinary, but when you look closer, you find yourself staring at a miniature canvas of American history, culture, and state pride. The Rhode Island State Quarter released in 2001 as part of the legendary United States Mint 50 State Quarters program, is far more than a piece of currency. It is a story, a journey, and a timeless work of art that connects us to the past and carries meaning into the present. And the question is, how did this small coin come to represent the Ocean State in such a powerful way? And why does it remain one of the most admired coins of the entire series? The story begins in the late 1990s when the United States Mint unveiled the groundbreaking idea of the 50 State Quarters program, a plan to release a new quarter design for each state over a 10-year period. Beginning in 1999 and ending in 2008, the program aimed to honor each state with a reverse design that reflected its unique history, culture, symbols, and values. The Rhode Island Quarter was the 13th coin in the series, released on May 21, 2001, and it immediately drew attention because of its elegant maritime theme, a theme that could not be more fitting for the smallest state in the Union, yet one with one of the richest nautical traditions. The design chosen for Rhode Island was created by Daniel Carr, an artist who captured the state's identity in a striking image. The quarter features a vintage sailboat gliding through Narragansett Bay, its sails open wide as it catches the wind. Behind it stands the Pell Bridge, also known as the Newport Bridge, one of the most iconic landmarks in the state and one of the longest suspension bridges in New England together. The sailboat and the bridge symbolize freedom, innovation, and the enduring connection between Rhode Island's people and the sea. The inscriptions include Rhode Island, the Ocean State, and the date of statehood, 1790, reminding us that Rhode Island was the 13th state to join the Union and that it proudly carries the title of the Ocean State. To fully appreciate the history behind this quarter, you must look back at Rhode Island's founding and its relationship with the sea. Rhode Island was established by Roger Williams in 1636. After he fled religious persecution in the Massachusetts Bay Colony, he founded Providence plantations on the principles of religious freedom and separation of church and state, ideas that would later influence the entire nation. Because of its coastline and deep harbors, Rhode Island quickly became a hub of trade, commerce, and shipbuilding. By the 18th century, the state played a critical role in maritime commerce, including the whaling industry, the rum trade, and the controversial but historically undeniable triangular trade system. Rhode Island shipbuilders and merchants were among the most skilled and ambitious in the colonies, and their success helped fuel the prosperity and growth of the region. When the American Revolution erupted, Rhode Island was one of the first colonies to declare independence in May of 1776, a full 2 months before the Declaration of Independence was signed. Rhode Island's maritime strength gave it an advantage during the conflict, as privateers and merchant vessels turned into armed ships that harassed British supply lines. The deep waters of Narragansett Bay became the site of several important military maneuvers, and Rhode Island sailors played an outsized role in the struggle for freedom. This rich naval legacy is why the state quarter's sailing theme resonates so deeply. The Pell Bridge featured on the quarter is another symbol of progress and ingenuity, built in 1969. It connects Newport to Jamestown and is one of the longest suspension bridges in New England. Its sweeping design and engineering brilliance are celebrated both for their practical function and for the beauty they add to Rhode Island's coastal landscape, pairing the bridge with... The sailboat was a conscious decision to show the duality of Rhode Island's identity, a balance between its historical traditions of sailing and shipbuilding and its modern achievements in engineering and infrastructure as part of the state quarters. Program Rhode Island's coin was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with standard circulation strikes, as well as proof and silver-proof versions. Collectors quickly embraced the coin, not only for its artistic beauty but also for its symbolism. The United States Mint reported that millions of Rhode Island quarters entered circulation, yet higher-grade specimens and proof strikes became highly desirable among numismatists. The design also sparked local pride within Rhode Island as residents felt the coin captured the essence of their state in a way that was both historically accurate and visually stunning. The program itself was a massive success for the United States Mint, as the 50 state quarters became one of the most collected coin series in history. It brought millions of Americans, young and old, into the world of coin collecting, and it gave each state the opportunity to tell its story through imagery. Rhode Island's quarter stands out, not only because of its design, but also because of the layers of history it represents, from the colonial era to the Revolution, from commerce to modern engineering, from tradition to innovation. The coin serves as a bridge across time. Collectors and historians often remark that the Rhode Island quarter is a masterclass in design balance. The sweeping lines of the sailboat and bridge are framed beautifully within the circular canvas of the coin. The inscriptions are clear and dignified, and the composition is both dynamic and elegant. This has made it a favorite in teaching numismatics and design, as well as a prime example of how a small coin can carry enormous meaning if you were to expand the story of the Rhode Island quarter into a full historical narrative lasting 2 hours. You would dive deeper into the origins of Rhode Island's maritime culture, the development of its harbors, the rise of Newport as a major seaport, and the role of its sailors and shipbuilders in both war and peace. You would explore the Industrial Revolution in Rhode Island and how the state balanced its seafaring traditions with textile mills and factories. You would trace the construction of the Pell Bridge and its role in connecting communities and fostering economic growth, and you would examine how the state quarters program itself revitalized interest in American coinage at the dawn of the 21st century. Every detail, from the sailboat to the bridge to the inscription, the Ocean State, reflects a carefully chosen piece of Rhode Island's identity, and the quarter serves as both a teaching tool and a symbol of pride. It is not merely money, it is a piece of art, a slice of history, and a reminder of the bond between a people and the waters that surround them. And that is the story the Rhode Island quarter tells every time it changes hands, every time it is collected, every time it is studied and admired. It carries with it the weight of history and the spirit of the Ocean State. Imagine holding in your hand a small silver-colored piece of American history, a coin that is not only a unit of currency, but also a storyteller of landscape's heritage and national pride. The Oregon State Quarter, released in 2005 as part of the United States Mint 50 State Quarters program, is one of the most breathtaking and beloved designs in the entire series. It is a coin that captures the essence of the Pacific Northwest, the wonder of Crater Lake National Park, and the pioneering spirit that has shaped the identity of Oregon for centuries. This quarter is far more than an everyday object. It is a miniature canvas carrying the weight of history, artistry, and national symbolism. And when we trace its story from the earliest planning stages through its release into circulation, we begin to uncover a journey that ties together the geology, culture, exploration, and craftsmanship that all meet in the palm of your hand. To fully appreciate the Oregon quarter, we first have to understand The context of the State Quarters program launched in 1999 by the United States Mint. This was the most ambitious coinage initiative in modern American history. Over a 10-year span, every state in the Union would have its chance to showcase its history, natural beauty, or cultural achievements on the reverse side of the quarter. The Oregon coin was scheduled as the 33rd release, and it entered circulation in 2005, following other Western states like California and Kansas. The program's goal was to engage Americans in collecting and to tell a national story state by state through coins that would circulate in the millions across every pocket and cash register in the country. Oregon's path to selecting a design was a democratic and cultural process led by the governor's office, and in coordination with the Oregon Commemorative Quarter Commission, which invited Oregonians to submit concepts, ideas, and designs. The competition was fierce because Oregon is a state defined by natural wonder, from its rugged Pacific coastline to the Cascade Mountains to the Columbia River Gorge and to the legendary Oregon Trail that brought thousands of settlers westward in the 19th century. Ultimately, the Commission and the people of Oregon decided that nothing could symbolize the state better than Crater Lake, a geological wonder that is not only the deepest lake in the United States, but also one of the clearest and most pristine bodies of water on Earth. The final design chosen for the Oregon Quarter was created by United States Mint sculptor-engraver Donna Weaver. The coin depicts Crater Lake in stunning simplicity, Wizard Island rising from the center of the lake, surrounded by the jagged edges of the caldera, and framed by pine trees, and the words Crater Lake and Oregon, with the year 1859 marking the date of statehood. This design perfectly captured the serenity, majesty, and uniqueness of Oregon, while also paying tribute to the geological history that shaped the land millions of years ago. The lake itself formed nearly 7,700 years ago, when Mount Mazama, a massive volcano, erupted and collapsed, creating a caldera that eventually filled with rainwater and snowmelt over the centuries. This rare geological history turned into a national symbol and eventually into an American coin. When the Oregon Quarter entered circulation in 2005, it was minted at both Philadelphia and Denver mints, producing hundreds of millions of coins that would soon find their way across the nation and into collections around the world. Collectors especially value the Denver Mint issues, often noted with the D-Mint mark, because these coins were struck in high numbers, but variations, errors, and conditions make them highly collectible even today. The release of the Oregon Quarter was more than just the minting of a coin. It was a cultural event, and the state launch ceremonies were held to celebrate the coin. And thousands of school children, collectors, historians, and everyday citizens participated. The design was praised nationwide for its artistic beauty and its ability to highlight one of the country's most spectacular natural wonders. The Oregon Quarter quickly became a favorite among collectors, not only for its subject, but also for its clean, detailed design that translated perfectly onto the small canvas of a coin. But the history of the Oregon Quarter does not end with its release. It continues through the stories it represents: the Oregon Trail, the westward migration, and the state's journey from indigenous cultures through exploration, settlement, and statehood. Crater Lake is more than just a geological wonder. It is also a sacred site to Native American tribes of the region, particularly the Klamath people, who preserved oral traditions about the eruption of Mount Mazama and considered the lake a spiritual place. The inclusion of Crater Lake on the quarter therefore connects modern America not only with natural beauty, but also with deep cultural heritage and indigenous storytelling. Over the years, the Oregon Quarter has been studied by numismatists, historians, and educators. It has been used as a teaching tool in schools to talk about geology, geography, westward expansion, and coin collecting. It has become a centerpiece for state pride and a gateway coin for many who first discovered coin collecting through the 50 State Quarters program. Its design has been praised for balancing simplicity with detail, unlike more cluttered or symbolic designs. The Oregon coin speaks directly to the viewer, showing a scene that needs no interpretation. just awe. For collectors, the Oregon Quarter has developed its own market story, while it is widely available in circulated condition. Uncirculated coins, proof strikes, and silver-proof versions are particularly sought after in higher grades with mirror finishes that make the design shine. Error coins, such as miss strikes or double dies, have also gained attention, creating excitement among specialists and everyday treasure hunters searching through pocket change. The legacy of the Oregon Quarter is also tied to the long-term impact of the State Quarters program itself, which introduced millions of Americans to numismatics and generated billions in revenue for the United States Mint. The Oregon coin stands out in that lineup as one of the most aesthetically powerful designs, a coin that captures a moment in nature, frozen forever in metal, a coin that embodies the serenity, strength, and majesty of the Pacific Northwest. As we trace the 2-hour journey through the history of this single quarter, we are reminded that a coin is never just a piece of money. It is an artifact of identity, a record of the values a people choose to represent themselves to the nation and to the world. The Oregon Quarter from 2005 remains one of the most memorable coins in American circulation, a small yet powerful reminder of how history, culture, geology, and artistry can come together in the palm of your hand. And when you look at it closely, you are not just holding 25 cents. You are holding a piece of Oregon, a piece of the American story, and a piece of timeless beauty carried in metal that has traveled from pocket to pocket across the world.